with a foreign accent. France would love a Frenchman to do that. So that's where people are at, and that's what we must do. Is it the right thing? No, but it's the right thing for the present day. So the way I talk to the Klan today is not the way I talk to them a month from now. You understand that?
Yes.
It's an entirely ever-changing system. It has no fixed methods. This is the way you do it. This is the way we do it now because that's the best we know up to now. So don't ever talk of final frontiers or utopia or the best airplane or the best human arrangements. Humans will vary with the changing of the exterior. They will undergo change. And the change they undergo will be induced by the environment they live in. And like I said before, people will say, well, I like the future. If you took your grandmother to Miami Beach and she saw the girls with their butts hanging out, she's going to say, I don't like that. They've gone too far. And she's right where she's coming from, but not right for the new times. So you got to remember, it's not a question whether you will like the future. Are you educated to understand the future? So we hope to condition people to accept change, not get attached to New York City or old Paris with the Eiffel Tower. If you get attached to Greenwich Village, you know, it's charming with tables outside, you sit around over coffee and talk. You can become attached to anything. Old cities, everything. We don't want people to be attached. We want to say, write to computer company and tell us what you want additionally. Well, I want my computer to be a camera too. I'd also like it to be an alarm clock. I'd like it to tell me what events are occurring in society that I might enjoy. Well, the computer engineer says, your computer can't do that until we put your value system into the computer. So it scans your values and tells you what you might enjoy. Do you understand what I mean? The computer will not be able to tell you anything. Unless we are interested in flying, sports flying, scuba diving. You put all your interests in the computer, and then it'll notify you with a blinking light of an exhibit that you might enjoy. But also, it'll notify you of exhibits you may not understand, but will be relevant to your interests. Do you think you know what I mean? But it can't do that unless you talk to computer scientists in flying, scuba diving, skiing, water skiing, engineering, mechanics, and chemistry. The more you put into that computer, the more the computer will tell you what's available to him. So you can go back to school, or you can go in the lab and work on things. You don't, in other words, you submit ideas to the chemistry department. They say, if they say, we don't think it'll work, you have access to any lab to disprove them. Because what people say is not necessarily true. So you have access. Like I said before, if you want to build your own airplane, we put a gadget in that airplane so you can't fly over cities with it. If it's your own design without approval, over ocean only. And if it's proven to be safe, then that gadget is taken out and it could be guided by satellite or flown by you. If you die of a heart attack, the plane is switched over to automatic and it lands at the nearest airport. We don't want to put people in passenger airliners that are only pilots. If they get a heart attack, the passengers all die. So we want to put 6 circuits in it on separate lines. If one fails, they always ask, what if the computer fails? They always picture one computer making decisions on everything. On an ocean liner, you have captains and you have people that can take over in case the captain dies. You have a lot of people. Then you have people trained to lower the lifeboats. You got all kinds of people on an ocean liner to handle contingencies that that ocean line is subject to. Now, it doesn't handle media hitting it because the probability is 0. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when they keep saying who makes the decisions, just say no one, but we gather together information related to that problem. I think I mentioned this. When a ship is sinking, women and children first. We don't do that. We say, do you know anything about navigation? Get on the boat. Do you know how to catch fish in the open sea? Get on the boat, then women and children. Otherwise they'll all starve to death. Do you understand me? But we have little books that people go by, and we must verify that. Is that clear?
Yes.
Anything you don't understand?
No.
Okay, now, all the labs in the future have a bulletin board that's electronic, just like the airlines. Cincinnati at 4:15, you know, have bulletin boards, and it says on the bulletin board, we've solved the problem of stroke. Now we can work on different brands of heart disease. Every lab will be blinking. When problems are solved, the next problem in line. Is that clear?
Mm-hmm.
People don't want to know that you got a flat tire in your car. You want a machine in the car that keeps air in the tire and the blink when it needs servicing. So you drive your car to your house, and your car will say, I'm going to service, and plug in. It's got its own plugs, 10 of them, plugs in, and the car analysis of what's wrong, the valves need grinding, or whatever it is. You don't need a mechanic taking the car apart and say your valves need grinding. You know what fiber optics is? It's a bundle of glass fibers, and you put that crooked thing into a machine, and you can see broken gears without taking it all apart. They have a gadget today, it's about this thick. They shove it up your ass, it goes into your intestines, and you can see the cancer, how spread it is, without cutting the guy open and looking. Fiber optics is used up through the nose, down the throat, into the lungs. So in the future, fiber optic and ultrasonic scanners. Instead of spraying plants with poison, we study the sound range of insects, way up to 80,000 cycles per second down. And then we study what insects are good for plants and how will that sound affect them. So we study the sound effects of insects, rodents that eat food, and we project that sound into the environment, so you don't need to spray poisons on plants.
Malaria? Could you talk about malaria as well?
Yes.
I've heard you say something.
Malaria, 2 million people die every year in Africa of malaria. Now, so they spray the swamp with oil. Oil seals the water so the fleas, mosquitoes can't get out, the larvae can't get out, but the fish get no oxygen, so the fish die and mosquitoes. And the swamp water, the spray sinks down eventually and contaminates the groundwater. So what we do, don't discuss this, we have a light under the water and color band turning. And the color band is for the kind of insects you want to attract. So at night they fly right into the light and they drown. Do you understand? The light's under the water, not above. If it was above, they'd hit and fry and die. So you can put it under the water. And thousands of malaria mosquitoes hit, the fish eat them, and you get more food.
Yeah.
Not just malaria mosquitoes, you get more food to feed people. That's the kind of research we do.
Are they doing that now?
No, of course.
Has anybody tried this technique?
I've got billions of different ideas, and I will not, if I gave it out, people will take out patents and charge you so much for doing that and so much for doing this. I want to release that if we get a global economy.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't, this system can perpetuate a little longer, and I'm not too interested in that.
Have you put these ideas in a safe place?
No, I've got them all over the place. I've got thousands of things
Good.
in Venus, Florida.
Good.
But I want you to know that every aspect of the future, even concrete, like you see out there, concrete decks of buildings, we have an injector that injects particles into the mixture of concrete. And then it forms air bubbles all through the concrete, so it's 1/5 the weight. But where the concrete meets the metal molds, it becomes dense. So the center's core is full of bubbles, which is insulation, no condensation, lightweight, and stronger. And we use much less concrete if you have air bubbles in the middle. Solid concrete is not as strong as air bubbles in the middle. Did you know that?
Right.
So if you do that, like in the old days, a pilot used to have a fire extinguisher in the cockpit. Well, if a plane engine caught fire, it's hard for him to put the engine on. So we have nozzles on the airplane at all areas where fire can occur. What you do is when fire occurs, the nozzle sprays. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
It's a thin pipe, you don't have a lot, on all areas of probable fire. That comes from studies of fire on aircraft.
Could you talk more about decision making in the Venus Project? Because
Yes.
a lot of people find it hard
Yes.
to understand.
Okay. Who makes decisions? The question is, in what area? Agriculture, agronomists. Is that clear? Yeah. Is that clear?
Yes.
And or engineering and mass production engineers, or anybody else that has any ideas.
Yeah.
You don't need to be a production engineer.
Yes.